There are just 4 weeks to go before the new inquests get underway into the deaths of the 96 Liverpool fans who died in the Hillsborough disaster in 1989. Their families want a different result from the original accidental death verdicts. After campaigning for a quarter of a century, they have spent the last few months in a desperate search for new witnesses and evidence, as Andy Gill reports.
I didn't understand, that my dad had gone to a football match and died, because he always went to the football. So why didn't he come home this time?
What I can change is, hopefully, that my brother didn't die a lie.
After more than 20 years of campaigning, the original accidental death verdicts on the 96 people who died at Hillsborough were overturned. The courts ordered new inquests after the Hillsborough Independent Panel revealed alleged failings in the way emergency services responded to the fatal crush. Tonight, with the new inquest less than a month away, we report on the family's battle to find vital witnesses ahead of those new inquests.
We went to games, home, abroad, away, everywhere.
Charlotte Hennessy is one of those searching for witnesses. She was 6 when her dad Jimmy went to watch Liverpool play Nottingham Forest at Hillsborough. He was a plasterer from Ellesmere Port and was 29 when he died.
I don't remember his voice, I don't remember his laugh, but I do remember him being there. I do remember, loving him so much and being such a daddy's girl and feeling that love back too. I think if ever I was hurt or injured, it'd be my dad that I'd want and my dad that I'd go to.
The idea that their relatives' deaths were accidental has always infuriated the Hillsborough families. The judge who investigated the disaster said it was mainly caused by the police losing control of the crowd. Yet an inquest jury in Sheffield decided that all 96 deaths were accidental. It took 20 years of campaigning for the government to set up the Hillsborough Independent Panel. It said 41 of the dead had the potential to survive if the emergency response had been different. One of the 41 was Jimmy Hennessy. Now his daughter's searching for a St John ambulance man who she believes helped a policeman trying to revive her father behind the goal. She hopes to find the ambulance man in time for the new inquests.
They were with my dad in his last minutes. They tried to save his life. My dad responded and opened his eyes whilst he was behind the goal. So, of course, he needs to give evidence at my dad's inquest.
Charlotte and the other families have already travelled to London 5 times for hearings to sort out legal and practical issues before the new inquests. She's hoping there may also be news of her search at the latest hearing.
Growing up with Hillsborough, one thing that used to bother me a lot was whether or not my dad was frightened. That used to really, really upset me. I used to ask my mum, do we ever know if he was still alive? And he was found and then he died later.
Charlotte joins other Hillsborough families for the pre-inquest hearing, but there's no news today of the man who she believes helped her father.
There was still no great mention of St John ambulance people that have come forward, so I think, it's just waiting for another update again, really.
Charlotte's search is important because these new inquests will have a much wider scope than the original ones. One of the most controversial aspects of the original inquests was the coroner's decision not to hear evidence about what happened after 3:15 on the day of the disaster. He ruled that all 96 would have suffered their fatal injuries by then. But that meant that the response of the police, the ambulance people and others was never examined at the inquests. That response will be examined at the new hearings, and that's why it's so important for the families to find as many witnesses as they can.
I'm sure he was a Scouser in a previous life, because
anything to do with Liverpool, all the programmes. His favourite programmes were Brookside, Bread, Boys from the Black Stuff. He used to even try and talk Scouse.
Louise Brooks's brother Andrew died at Hillsborough. He was 26. Louise is still searching for a man she thinks may have been a doctor who apparently helped Andrew on the pitch after 3:15. And she's still searching for another man, marked here with a red arrow, pictured near Andrew in the crowd.
I feel I'm against the clock. You know, I just want my brother to... I want all the information possible at my brother's inquest, so, you know, everybody has the full facts. I can't come back in 10 years' time and say, excuse me, I found something else, can I have another inquest? Because that will never happen. What I can change is, hopefully, change that my brother didn't die a lie, really. That's what hopefully I can participate in changing.
The inquests are one of 3 new inquiries into Hillsborough. The Independent Police Complaints Commission is looking at alleged police misconduct after the disaster, and at offices in Warrington, Operation Resolve is examining whether any crimes were committed before it. But both Operation Resolve and the IPCC are also gathering evidence for the new inquests. Among the areas Operation Resolve are investigating for the new inquests are stadium safety, preparations for the match and crowd management, as well as the cause of death for all of the 96. They've already interviewed more than 1,000 people. One new feature the Resolve team will provide for the inquests are kind of individual video diaries of the movements of each of the victims. They've made compilations of CCTV, police and TV images showing the victims arriving at the ground, in the crowd and in some cases on the pitch after the crush.
The night games when they were in Europe.
Anne Burkett from the Hillsborough Justice Campaign lost her stepson Peter. She's already seen his video.
What I seen was horrific. It was not because the police were being brutal, but because they had to get people out so quickly and they were tangled and things. It was like it was a rag doll just being battered out of this small hole in the doorway.
The new inquests start in Warrington on March the 31st. They could last until Christmas or beyond.
I never went to my brother's original inquest. I look back now and I feel that I should have been there. I understand why my parents tried to protect me. So I feel I've got a second chance now to do right by my brother.
It's about closure and being able to know that I did the best that I could to find out what happened to my dad and be his voice, because he went to a football match and he didn't come home.